Okay, this is a continuation of Captain Mainz' interview. It's still February the 8th, 2008. An interview still taking place at 29 Palms, California. Interviews are Gianna Wacito and Douglas Alpasca. Sir, you were saying in the last interview?
We were discussing Mauro Mujica and his role and his unique attributes that led to the success of Lima Company. And where we just ended was Mujica's, the divine right centerman conviction and about how good that was as far as that goes. And he was brilliant when you gave him the space to be brilliant.
Okay. And did you assign Lieutenant Mujica to be the augmentation team mission, or how
yeah, like that? initially what we and again task organization was something that changed every other day. Initially I was like, okay, Mauro, what's going to happen is you're going to be in charge of all the augmentation teams, and you're going to have squads of augmentation teams here, you know what I'm saying, like you'll be responsible for anybody training Iraqis, whether it's the Iraqi army, whether it's the Iraqi police, whatever we got, that's going to be your job.
And this was in February of 2007.
This was in February. And in March, as we were getting closer, like as we were going through CACs and everything like that was going to be the thought process.
And was your expectation that you would use augmentation teams heavily or partially?
I believed at that time the success was going to be augmentation teams. Okay. I believed. I don't think I could have voiced this back in March, but I could definitely voice it later. Is I knew what I needed was social power, not military power. And so I knew that the augmentation team's greatest strength, if they worked, was going to be social power. And so that's what I was going for.
Okay. And the planning for Ramadi 2, was that shaped by the experience of Mujica and Larson in Ramadi 1?
Yeah. There was definitely... They were definitely kinetically focused, and that's good. Like you got to have that, but the idea being is like when you get on the deck, you got to change. Like you got to be ready for what's next. And I had read a little bit more than them on the situation, so it was easier for me to say like, no, you're not going to be bumping and bounding. You're going to be doing X, and that met with some very big confrontation.
And can you describe what you were reading? Reports from
1-6 is what I was reading, and what happened was 2-5 was supposed to go to that area, and 2-5 went and did their PDSS there, their pre-deployment site survey, with 1-6. Then they came back and they were told they weren't going there, that we were. So I spent every weekend out at CACs with 2-5 getting all their PDSS information. So I had a very clear picture of what was going on and how it was working over there. And so, I realized it was non-kinetic. And like now was the time to exploit that opportunity with just enhancing that thing. And so it was a matter of fighting that paradigm, with those guys. And we had conversations where I didn't know if I was too theoretical. I remember, on the range in February, one of our, during that big, all those ranges that we had to go through to get spun up on weapons quals, having a conversation with those two. I got the two senior lieutenants, combat vets. Luke is there with a Bronze Star, and and the Bronze Star is not like, I say that only like to solidify his his right as a combat vet. But like Mujica had seen several men die and maybe been in more contact. Luke was just a phenomenal commander. And I'm telling them like, we need to have like they sucker me into a conversation. Basically, is how it starts. Asking me like, okay, sir, you got a building and you're taking fire from it, would you maneuver your squad in there, or how would you handle that? And like I know what they want to hear. I know what they're trying to sucker me into, which is LMAV the building, blow it the frick up, why maneuver into it?
LMAV would say
laser Maverick. So send a missile into the building, blow it up. Why maneuver into it? Why are you maneuvering? Why are you exposing people?
And the date and place of this conversation is
it's late February at one of the ranges. I could probably look at it. I could look and give you an exact date if you really wanted. It was range 109 is where it was happened during a 50 cal familiarization shoot. And so I won't give them what they want to hear. And this is where we get into a discussion about second generation, third generation warfare. I'm like, maneuver in and of itself is a threat. if done properly, done with proper suppression. You know, maneuver is 10 times better of a threat than just pure sheer firepower. That's second generation thinking. And it's never applicable in a counterinsurgency. And they were definitely like, whoa, stop. Because, I mean, this was the unit that LMAF and frickin' blew the shit out of things in Iraq. You know, I mean, they blew up a lot of stuff in Ramadi. And so they were like, no, this is the right answer. Like, you're kind of jacked up. And I was like, no, like, you're not seeing it. Like, every time you destroy a structure, every time you wound a civilian, you've made 10 more enemy.
So they were already experts at combined arms in the urban setting. 10
times better than I'll ever be. 10 times better than I'll ever be. Lieutenant Mahika, like a couple times when things actually went down, like we had a small IED or grenade thrown at a vehicle, or when shit went sideways, Lieutenant Mahika was leading me as much as I was leading him. Like I would be like, we're gonna go do X, and he'd be like, this is fucking stupid because X, Y, and Z. You need to think about this and that, and like you're a dumbass for doing this. And I was like, oh yeah, I fucked that one up, huh? You know what I mean? So like when it came to the kinetics, those guys had me smoke checked as far as real life experience inside that city. I think I understood it conceptually, and that was one of my worries here. Like, am I being too theoretical with these lieutenants? Am I that jacked up that I'm saying you don't want to destroy buildings? You don't, you know, why am I firing a 50 cal against a guy who's probably been there for 7 seconds is going to leave? I didn't believe in any of these things. Not in a counterinsurgency. Not when you're trying to win over the people. If you truly say that people are your focus, you would never do such a thing. If you just say it as a mantra and a bumper sticker, you just shoot everywhere.
And then just backing up slightly, what were some of the human qualities? You've already talked about them of Mahika, but Lieutenant Larson and then Belmont Mahika.
Luke Larson is probably, personally, he is the best lieutenant I've had the pleasure of serving with. He is smart, humble, personable, dedicated, motivated. He's an unbelievable individual. And he's convicted to do the right thing, and he will go through the harder path to do the right thing all the time. He in essence, you know, led that company as much as I did. It was, I may have been the face on the company, and I may have been some of the bigger ideas, but Luke Larson was the muscle and made that company move. He was, God, that kid is so phenomenal. So many great things that happened in Ramadi were directly Luke Larson. He was the company when I got there, beyond a shadow of a doubt. He was everything.
And what do you mean by that? I mean, he was playing a role.
He was playing a role of larger than an XO, yeah. 10 times larger. He was partial CO. He was the gunny. He was everything. He would make everything move in that company. And such a foresight planner, like could see friction coming before it ever hit you. Like Lima Company inside the battalion was like always known for having their shit squared away. Like we were always the first ones to do X, first ones to do Y, first ones to do Z. 100% Luke Larson. 100% Luke Larson. He took probably out of all the pictures that I have, he took the majority of them. You know, he understood how to fight and win, and his personality was phenomenal.
How would you describe his personality?
Probably the most humble, proficient man I know. In the sense of, like, you know, proficiency sometimes leads to arrogance. Luke, you know, he was good, and he knew he was good, but he was never like a dick about it. You know what I mean? You just love Luke. Like, you just love him. He's just a good dude. And he was my most trusted advisor. Like, the best story that I can say